We'll talk about relationship goals all the time, marriage goals all the time. So I want to know if you guys have really been working on your marriage goals. Okay, Renee, trying to, yes, sort of. So what has been some of your stumbling blocks, Renee and Crystal? You say you're trying to, like, what has been some of your stumbling blocks or things that have kept you from being able to do that, if you don't mind sharing? Because I said that today I was going to do like um a Q&A, but then I wanted to also just share some things with you guys as well as it relates to staying connected, because I know how important that is. And I don't know about you all, but I am very busy. I'm inviting some folks on Snapchat here. I mean on Snapchat. Girl, on live. I'm tired, you guys. So I know how busy I am. I know how busy my husband is, and I know how hard sometimes it is to stay connected. So please go ahead and invite some folks on this. Hey, Mika. Hey, Boo. Please go ahead and invite some folks on. Folks you know need to be on here. Folks you know that are married, being on the same page. Okay. We can talk about that some today if you want to, Crystal. And I didn't get, if you said something, okay, I didn't get another comment because I'm looking down and doing all type of stuff. Hey, Delisha, Tracy, hey. You ladies, go ahead and invite some folks on here. If you know you have friends in your circle that are married, or even those that desire to get married. Okay, even those that desire to get married, you know that they need some tools and some tips, for when they get married. Because there's one thing, hey, Vonnie, there's one thing to go in a situation and not have the right tools that you need. I talked the other day. Thank you, Tracy. Please go ahead and invite some folks. Hey, Facebook Live. I'm on Periscope as well. I talked about the other day as far as, oh, I love you too, Raven. I love you too. I talked about trying to build a house with water balloons. It would not work, right? It may work for some other things, but it definitely won't work in building a home. And I'm on Periscope too, so the connections may be kind of weird. If it gets too weird, I'll get off of probably live, but I wanted to try and do a hybrid. So you want to make sure before going into a situation that you have the right tools. That's in a marriage. Hey, Liz, that's in raising children. We shouldn't do things really until we're ready to do them and we have the right tools, resources in place in order to do them. So that's the same with the marriage. So if you know somebody that needs to be on this today, please go ahead and invite them on. If you have just specific people you want to invite on, do that as well. I'm Treal Ravenel, and I am one of the founders of Detour Movement, where we teach, inspire, and equip women how to renew their mind. We show them through the Word of God how to renew their minds so that they can transform their entire life, anything from their marriage, their ministry, their mission, and their money. Thank you, Liz, for sharing. We believe in total transformation, and we know that Romans 12:2 tells us that we are to be renewed. We are to be renewed by the transforming of our. We're constantly renewing. I'm getting the scripture all twisted. Constantly renewing of our mind. That then produces transformation in our life. So I don't know about you, but how many of you can use some levels of transformation in your marriage, some level of transformation in other areas of your life? And a transformation is like going through a metamorphosis experience. It allows you to do a complete change, a complete turnaround, a complete shift, a complete transition. And I know many of us need to be able to do that in our lives, in our marriages and things of that nature. But what I can tell you that in order for you to have transition and a complete metamorphosis in your marriage, you definitely have to do that first in the spiritual realm. So one thing is for sure, thank you, Juanita, for sharing. One thing is for sure is that we want to make sure that our spiritual foundation is secure. We want to make sure that we're doing things spiritually first and making sure that our salvation is sure and secure. Hey, Dre, your name is not Drea. That's Dream Night. I think it was your business, but I forgot your name, sweetheart. We want to make sure that our foundation is set, right? If the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? So we want to make sure that we have a firm foundation. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the hearts, the love. Thank you, Crystal. So we were talking about marriage goals, and I am very passionate about pouring into wives. I am very passionate about helping wives just to be a woman of God, to be a wife who wins. That's a woman that's a warrior in the spirit. She's spiritually grounded, a woman that operates grace and integrity and is very intentional about everything that she does, and a woman that never wants to give up, despite the odds, despite the adversity, the challenges, and the opposition, be it in life, be it in their marriage, be it in their family. Of course, yeah, I'm saying wives who win, but we all are the bride of Christ. And if you desire to be a physical wife, that's something that God will give you. He said he will give you the desires of your life. He will give you the desires that you totally seek after, but you have to delight yourself in him. And in you delighting yourself in him, then your desires become his desires. So then, therefore, he will give you the desires of your heart. So how many of you on this scope in this live this morning have some desires that you want God to give you? You have some things that you perhaps have been praying about. You've been seeking the Lord on. You've been fasting for. You've been speaking in the atmosphere, and you really want God to be able to do some things without pushing people who aren't meant for you. Yes, 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 yes. We have desires too. I was reading something this morning, and it was basically, I wrote it down. I'm going to read it to you guys. And I was just doing a little bit of studying. Well, not this morning, really, just a little while ago when I was doing my Proverbs study. And it was saying that, I just want to read this to you because I was going to post it and I may still post it. And it says, God has allowed us to use our will to sometimes go against his will. So basically what that's saying is sometimes God will give us what we want, even if it's not his will. Did y'all know that? Sometimes God will give us that thing that we're asking for, even if it's not his will. And I wrote something in my phone, and of course I can't see because it's in my notes in my phone. And sometimes, we want something so bad. Sometimes we've been fasting and praying about something, and the desire in us, we want it so bad, then we manipulate ourselves to believe and think that it is what God has for us because we want it so bad. And then we force our will onto God. So sometimes God will permit certain things to happen. He will permit certain prayers to come to fruition because we want it so bad. And that's a dangerous place to be. And I believe that sometimes he does this because he has to let you know that his will is perfect. You know what I mean? So regardless of what you may feel is best for your life, regardless of what you think the best decisions are, his will is perfect. And anytime you go against his will, destruction will come. So things may seem like they're working out in the beginning. It may seem like it's all peachy cream, but at the end you will see the results, because when it's God, it's all things great. It's all things good from the beginning until the end. When it's God, but when it's not God, there's some confusion, there's some mix up, there's some indecisiveness, there's some going back and forth. James tells us that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, but when it's of God, it's consistent. You know what I mean? There's some type of consistency to that thing. So we have to be mindful of not trying to force our will on God. And I was reading something else, and I was saying by allowing God to fill your life, fill you, you are really saying, to God, take my will and help me to do what you want, not what I want or what I feel is best for me. And that's even in our marriages, you guys. I know a lot of us have desires for our marriage. Someone said that not being on the same page, trying to write out the goals, running into some complications and things of that nature. But we have to make sure that our will and the things that we desire, even for our marriages and our goals and things of that nature, that it is in God's will for it. It is in God's will for our marriage. And we're not just coming up with things out of our own selfish need or desire, or because we want things to go a certain way. And what I will encourage you to do, if you don't know what I'm talking about, we were talking about goal setting in our marriages the last couple days, earlier this week. If you are having a hard time sitting down with your husband and really writing out those goals and even coming up with those goals, pray about it. Pray about it. I believe anytime you're going to make it, not just pray about it, but also fast, because I believe anytime you're going to make a major decision that's going to be life altering, creating goals for your marriage is a life altering thing. So anytime you're going to do something that's life altering, you need to be praying and you need to be fasting and you need to consult wise counsel. The book of Proverbs tells us to seek wise counsel. You are to seek the counsel of those that are wise, those that have gone on before you, those that have created those experiences or lived that life. In the book of Titus, it talks about about the older woman being able to teach the younger woman. So I encourage you to seek the counsel of the wise, and I encourage you to seek the wisdom of the word of God through the word of God, through prayer and through fasting, going without food for a particular amount of time, and strategically writing out in that prayer what you need God for you to do during that time of fasting, so that he can make it ever so clear. Your husband may not come to the drawing board with all of these things, and he may not be in agreement with all of these things in the beginning. So you want to even ask God to, Lord, what does he desire? Help show me his desires. Allow him to share with me his desires. And I'm going really into my message, because that's what I want to talk about on tonight. It's daytime. What's up with that? That's what I want to talk about on today, as far as in staying connected. And I want to talk about 3 ways you can stay connected, because let me tell you what the enemy attempts to do when you're on 2 opposite ends of the spectrum, and there's a barrier of communication there. It makes it very difficult for you and your husband to be able to sit down and write goals and do things of that nature. So the enemy, yes, absolutely, there's the enemy. He walks around, as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may try to devour. So you have to understand his devices, number one. So even if you were to go to your husband and want to talk about the goals, and he's not feeling it right then and there, don't get offended. Honey, I understand. Maybe we can talk a little later. If that's your situation, if he's not into it, if he's not feeling it, help to make it seem like his idea. You know what I mean? So honey, I wanted to share some things with you, but I know you're busy. I know you have a lot going on. So whenever you get some time, hopefully this week we can sit down and have a conversation. How does that sound? And I often say it's not really about what you say, but it's how you say it, how you present your case per se. And I had to learn that even in my marriage. So even when I felt like I was right, even when I felt like things were good for the marriage goals or whatever, even when I felt like I was adding value, I was bringing something good to the table, it was not always about what I said, but how I said it. I could be very assertive, very demanding, very controlling, wanting my way, because I know that this way is going to work. And sometimes as women of God, as shakers and movers and kingdom women, Proverbs 31 woman, an assertive woman being able to take care of so many things on so many different levels, sometimes we bring that attitude and that spirit also within our marriage, whereas we should be extending or showing grace, being more grace, and being more tactful in our communications and our conversations toward our husbands, as why he probably sometimes don't want to hear anything you have to say, because you come in all wrong. So you have to learn just to be more graceful and be more gentle and be more soft in that type of arena. And when you probably are with your girls or doing a business dealing or handling other affairs and ministry and things of that nature, that is the time where your assertiveness is most effective. But at home, not so much. So seek wise counsel, pray, and also fast as to what you need to be creating those goals about, is how you say it. Absolutely, Lisa. And ask God to show you his heart. Ask God to show you his heart, and also to show him how important it is for you guys to be able to sit down and communicate and have those goals. Desires to be woman of God, desires to be submissive all of the time. Absolutely. So I want to talk about alpha women and weak men. I want to talk about 3 areas, and it's not always all the time that the man is weak, but sometimes we can be very, very, very aggressive as women. And I feel like, when you're talking with your husband, you should not be aggressive. I think it's a turn off. I think it's alpha females always feel in charge. Yes, absolutely. I think it's very distasteful to be very aggressive and to throw your weight around in your marriage. You know what I'm saying? To where your husband, now you talking about your kids. I got you, Lorna. You talking about your children, that's a different story. But throwing, hey, Jeannie, congratulations, honey. You're talking about to your marriage. In your marriage, I don't think you should be throwing your weight around in the house. Allow him to be the head. Allow him to be the man. Allow him to be the final decision maker. You can have your opinion and things of that nature. And sometimes he may extend that to you to be the final decision maker. But give him that space to be the man. Give him that space to be the man. And a lot of us that have been, perhaps single parents, and we've been single for a long time, and we really didn't have, I know my father passed away and I was 17 years old, so he missed a great deal in my life than where I needed him the most. And a lot of times when we didn't have that presence, you know what I'm saying, we typically become that presence, right? We typically become that. So you want to make sure that you're not that with your husband. There's a time and a place, Ecclesiastes tell us, for everything, right? So we want to make sure that we are in the proper timing. when the proper timing. Absolutely. So let's talk about these three areas, you guys, because I know how important it is to stay connected. And I was saying earlier, as far as your busy schedule, you have kids, you have your own agenda, you have your own purpose, you have ministry, you have whatever it is that you have. It's hard sometimes to stay connected, but it's very important that you stay connected, because one trick of the enemy, what if you give him space to be the head and he continues to fail? If he continues to fail, what? Well, Renee, I mean, there's a couple of things that can be to that, because there's a reason why he's continuing to fail. Perhaps it may be something that he's struggling with. Maybe he doesn't know how to be the head. Maybe he's never had that example. Maybe he's not allowing God to lead him, and he's constantly doing things his own way, hence why he's getting his own results. And if you can even look at his life, I'm not sure if this is your story or whoever's story, but you can even look at his life previous, beforehand, if you had that opportunity to do that, to see how he may have failed in other areas of his life. So it may be a personal thing that he is dealing with, and not knowing how to be the head, not knowing how to be the final decision maker. He may be dealing with feelings of failure. He may be dealing with feelings of insecurity, low self-esteem. Let me tell y'all something. The men deal with those stuff too. Don't think because he's a man and he's supposed to be strong and mighty and awesome that he doesn't deal with those things. Men deal with those things as well. And I don't know, Renee, if you're on my 5 a.m. prayer on Wednesday, but I'm talking about those things. And when it relates to praying for our husbands in different areas, his feelings, his emotions, his insecurities, his mindset, all of those things. It's important that we're praying for those things, because he has his own struggles. So if he's in a place where he's constantly not being able to not only set the bar, but keep the bar high, not only for his wife and children, but for those others that are following him, then there's some things that he perhaps is struggling with and dealing with. And prayer can help with that, but he needs to be able to see that. Like, I can't do it in my own strength. How to keep my from? You got to put that back up, honey. He has to see that he cannot do it in his own strength, and he's going to need help. He's going to need help. It's okay to seek wise counsel, even from his people that are around him that are wise. Men should have coverings. Men should have other men in their life who they can go to, who they can talk to, who they can glean from. So if he's trying to do it all by himself and he doesn't really have anybody that he's connected to that's able to pour into his life, then that's a problem. And as a wife, you can pray for those connections. You can pray that God reveals to him, the areas where he's going wrong, and how, if he continues to do things his own way. The Bible tells us that a man's way, right? A man's way seems right unto him. I think it's in the book of Proverbs, but in its destruction of that man. So when you think your way is right, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. And only a fool person despises wisdom and instruction. So you're going to be praying for wisdom and instruction for him. You're going to be praying that he sees his way and he sees that it's not right, and God is able to reveal that to him. And also pray for God to send him wise counsel. You may not be that person. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's a situation where he has failed you, because I know how it feels to be failed by someone that you love. And you may have told him how he's failed you. He may even feel disappointed that he can't do what's required, and he tries, and every time he tries, he fails, because he has to hear your mouth. He has to hear maybe his mom's mouth. He has to hear other people's mouth continuing to tell him that he's failed. So you may not be the person to tell him or to confront him with that, but you can definitely be the person that prays for him. So just remember that. And I hope that helps you. And if you want to talk more offline, please, I'll be happy to have a conversation with you. You can just email Jill and Treal at detourmovement.com. JILLAND at detourmovement.com. Somebody else had another question. I wasn't able to read it because I was trying to answer Renee, so I wasn't able to read it. So the three connections that are vitally important. We don't want to allow busyness to get in our way. Absolutely. Awesome. Okay, we don't want to allow the children to take over. We don't want to allow our own lives and our own agendas to take over, to whereas we're not connecting with our husband, because that's one trick of the enemy. The enemy wants you to be so disconnected from one another till you cannot accomplish God's purpose for the marriage. And God's purpose for the marriage is to give him glory, for you and your spouse to be doing things to impact the kingdom of God. So the first thing, of course, you should know, is spiritual. It's spiritual. You have to maintain that spiritual connection. And I'm not talking about just going to the church. I've always been the head of the house. Absolutely, Tanetta. I know how it feels. Now that relationship, I'm going to have time. Yep. See more. Hold on. My children are always and so come to me for the fun. Yeah. So, I mean, even in that, He's giving up. Yeah, yeah. And even in that, regardless of your, yep, Jill and Treal at Detour. Jill and Treal, JILLANDTREAL at detourmovement.com. Thank you, Lorna. You forgot off the trail part. So even if you, hey Tracy, even if you are, and it's different if you're married and not married, because even if you're still living in the same household together, and if that's their father, they should definitely know that if you're not married, he's not typically your head. Does that make sense? Even if you may be living together, if you're not married, he's not your head, but he is still the head of the children per se. And the children has to see where you are allowing him to make those decisions, not necessarily for you. It's kind of a challenging situation because of the dynamics of the relationship. But all in all, you should be always redirecting them to allowing him to make the final decision, especially when it comes to their life. Does that make sense, Tanetta? Because he's not your head per se, because you guys are not married yet. If that's a direction that you guys are going into per se, then you should definitely try to practice allowing him to be the final decision maker. But I know you're supposed to have a conversation offline as well. But the children should definitely feel comfortable going to him and allowing, okay, dad is going to make the final decision for them, for their life, but not necessarily for yours, in this, because of the dynamics of the situation. And maybe he, as his father, I don't know, what time, how he spends with them and things that he does with them, but maybe even his interaction with them more, and, being that person that they can come to, that they trust, because as parents, moms, it's so easy for us to show them how trusting we are and nurturing we are and all that. Maybe he needs to kind of switch roles or switch, how he presents himself to them a bit so that they can go to him. Yeah, so that they can go to him and direct them to him more. Ask your dad, don't ask me, ask your dad. Allow your, go and have a conversation with your dad and allow him to tell you what he feels is best. So when you do that, when you're directing them, directing them to him more, then they'll be able to trust them and not come to you for every single thing, especially if he needs to have a hand in that. So the first thing is spiritual connection. And when I talk about spiritual connection, of course, I'm talking about you should be worshiping together as far as going to services together, but you should also be trying to pray at home together at some point. I'll be the first to tell you, me and my husband do not pray every day at home. We don't get in our word together at home all the time. There are times, matter of fact, most times we don't, just to be blatantly honest with you, because our schedules are so crazy. But we do take time out, to pray. Sometimes, like I told you guys the other morning, we prayed. He's like, honey, pray for me. Twice, matter of fact. So that was awesome. Twice in 1 week. I was led to pray one time, and then the other time, he just held my hand and asked me to pray. So we were still laying in the bed. So sometimes it's like that. Sometimes we'll get in the word together, but it's not often. But you should try to connect spiritually as often as possible. And going to worship service together is important because you're on one accord. Going together, going to the same church, hearing from the same pastor, hearing the same teacher, teaching because you're on the same page. The Bible tells us that a house divided against itself cannot stand. It will not stand. So if you're on two opposite ends of the spectrum and you're divided, your house is not going to be able to stand. So you want to make sure that you are spiritually connected, not only at home and getting in worship and praise together and things of that nature, but also being spiritually connected by going to the temple, the house of the Lord, on Saturdays, Sundays, or whatever day you choose to worship. So that's very, very, very important. And do that also through words of affirmation. So even if you're really busy and you have a lot going on, send him scriptures throughout the day or throughout the week, not every day. Don't inundate him. You know what I'm saying? But send him scriptures, send him encouraging words, send him biblical references and things like that. Oh, honey, when you get a chance, read this. I do that often. I will send my husband, if I look at a video on YouTube, I like to look at Pastor Tori Roberts and Pastor Jakes and a lot of other great men and women of God. And I'll send him something to look at. Oh my God, honey, I know that this will bless you. It just blessed my soul so much. Please watch this when you get a chance. Or I'll send him whatever. So that's a spiritual connection as well. So that's vitally, vitally, vitally important. And that sets the foundation. If the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? So you want to set the foundation. You can't build a house until you lay the foundation. Okay? And sometimes you won't always be spiritually connected. Crystal. And that's why it's so important that each individual have their own spiritual life. You know, as you're growing, he should be growing or could be growing, and you may not even be growing at the same time. And that's okay as well. And do not get discouraged by that. Do not get discouraged by that. You continue to be consistent. Don't throw it up in his face. Don't tell him he needs to pray more. Don't tell him he needs to go to church more. Don't tell him anything like that. You're not his mother. You're his wife. You're his helpmeet. So the only thing you can do in that regard is be the example and be consistent. Because one thing about us sometimes is we can be the example when we want to, when it's convenient for us, but we're not always consistent. So if you're looking for change, the 1 Peter 3:1-8, which which Wives Who Wins is founded on, is, you know, your husband is not going to be won over by your conversations and your discussions, but he will be won over by your character, by your conduct. So you have to be consistent. Not just convenient. You have to be consistent. So when things are not going your way, when he's not moving fast enough spiritually and growing fast enough spiritually, and he's not taking your hand in prayer, and you're looking at other people's marriages, not talking you per se, Crystal, but just for everyone, looking at other people's marriages, and you want your marriage to look like their marriage, and you want your husband to talk to you and pray for you the way so-and-so prays for their wife. Don't do that. Continue to be consistent. Right? Continue to be consistent and continue to cover him. And you continue to be the example that you desire to see. And all you can do is be encouraged. And those times when you do feel spiritually connected, you let him know, oh, honey, I really enjoy that time we had together in worship. Oh my God, I just love when we're able to worship together. Not being fake or phony, or being authentic, because you do love the time when you guys are able to worship together, when you're able to pray together, when you're able to read scripture together. Oh, honey, thank you so much for leading the prayer on tonight. You gave such a powerful prayer, or whatever the Holy Spirit leads you to do. But ask God to help you to be more graceful and to be more accepting of who he is, and not trying to change or force him to be the spiritual giant that you feel that he should be, because he's on the track that God has him on, not the one that you have him on. Number two, a physical connection. Physical connection is so important. And again, the busyness of life and things that go on, it sometimes takes us away from being able to be physical. I'm not talking about sex, only sex, that's included, but being able to be physical with our spouses. We have to do activities, go out, have fun. How many of you have date nights? My married people, you're engaged, because if you're engaged to be married, you should be, you know, having date nights, because that should continue in the marriage. How many of you really have date nights? Like, you really take time out and have date nights? I feel like at least if you're not doing date nights once a week, at least twice a month. And even if you're not going out to do date nights, you can do date nights at home. You know, if you have children, yes, if you have children, put the children to bed early. Let them little suckers know, go to bed. This is mommy and daddy night. Don't ask us for nothing. This is mommy and daddy night. Don't ask us for nothing. And it doesn't always have to be sex. It can be that. You know what I'm saying? But it just intimate, just getting connected with one another, watching a movie together, and just go back to the times where you were dating, where you would lay on his lap or lay under his, you know, shoulder, and just enjoy him, lay on his chest, allow him to lay on your lap and just rub his head, whatever it is that you guys used to do and that you enjoyed so much, that connected you with him, that caused you to marry him or want to marry him. You know what I mean? You got to go back to that thing. Have pizza night together. Sit on the living room floor and order a freaking large cheese pizza with extra toppings and just pig out together. You have to have that physical connection, and in that you're having conversations, you're laughing, you're connecting, you're enjoying one another, you're reminiscing, you're remembering why I love you so much, why I married you. You're not thinking about, you don't pray, you're not thinking about, oh my God, you made a bad decision last week. You're thinking about the moment. You're thinking about the right here and right now, and that's getting you to remember the why behind the reason why you're still there, right? That's so important. So you have to stay physically connected. And also, sex is very, very, very important in a marriage. I understand. I know the single people, I believe, feel that, you know, when you get married, you're going to be having sex all the time. That's not the case, because life happens. Hey, Keisha, life happens. And it's just not like that. You're tired most of the time. I can tell you that right now. But you have to take time out to do that as well. You have to take time out to exchange that. It doesn't have to be this long, drawn out, hours on end type thing. If that's what you want, that's fine as well. But sometimes, you know, just doing what you got to do, you know, that's the right type of connection that you need. That's the right energy that you need from your husband, and he needs from you in that moment. Hey, Keisha, thank you, Keisha, for sharing. Thank you, Keisha, for sharing. That's the right energy that he needs from you right then and there. You know what I mean? That 5 minutes, 7 minutes, however long, you know what I'm saying? That's going to take it. You don't have to, whatever. But then even after that, embrace and connect. Even after that, and still embrace and connect, right? So that's important. Take trips together. Without the children, I know as parents, we think about our children too much. We think about our children too much sometimes, and we just always make them priorities. But let me tell you, when you are married, your husband is your priority over your children. So it's good to do things just with him. Leave the kids home. Leave the kids at grandma. Leave the kids at somebody. Get somebody to watch the children. And you and your husband go grocery shopping together. You just go for a day trip. Mom and daddy's going out. Can we go? No. No, we always take y'all. Every time we go, every time we do, you guys are running behind us. No, you're going to Auntie Bell's house or whoever's house, and me and Daddy are just going to enjoy one another. Because let me tell y'all, when those kids get grown and gone, what are y'all going to do? Just look at one another? Y'all have to have something that you're building now and creating now, so even when they're gone, because they will be gone sooner than you think, to fall back on. Not just any man, your husband, Lorna. Not just any man, your husband. Not just any man. And there are times when the kids do need to be a priority. Okay, you better listen to him, Crystal. Before I pick up my two. Yep. There are times you need to put the kids priority. There are times when you need to do that. But that shouldn't be the norm. Oh my, the kids want to do something. Your husband's telling you, honey, get ready, let's go. And no, the kids. No, man, you better get ready and let's go. Okay? Let the man be the man. Your husband, I ain't calling this any man. Let him be the man. Let him lead the family. You have to trust his leading. If you marry somebody you don't trust their leading, then shame on you. Shame on you for making that decision. But now you made that decision. Okay? The number three and the final thing is emotional. I hope you guys are taking notes. Emotional. Make sure you have that emotional connection. And again, that's just connecting. That can be the intimacy part. That can be making sure you kiss and embrace him every day. If you can. I leave, like I told you guys, I leave before my husband. So most of the time, I'll just kiss him before I leave or touch him or, whatever. Or we were just laying in the bed, just touching, just connecting. But you want to make sure that emotionally you guys can share. You can share your heart. He can share his heart. You can feel his heart. He can feel your heart without even saying a word. He sees your disposition. He sees, what you may be going through and dealing with, and he just embraces you. So you want to make sure that emotionally you have that connection and you're trusting him emotionally, and he gets to the point where he's trusting you emotionally, because it takes guys a lot longer to trust and to pour out. So you want to make sure that you can trust him. And then I'll say this again. If you marry somebody and you feel like you can't trust him, then shame on you for making that decision, because you made that decision. So if you're at that place that you can't trust him, ask God to help you get back to a place of trusting. Maybe there was some things that happened that broke the trust, that broke the respect, but it needs to get there if you're going to have a healthy marriage. It needs to get there. You can't continue to go through not trusting, not respecting, not being able to pour out to him, because if you're not pouring out to him, then who are you pouring out to? Your girlfriends? Your mom? Your sisters? Your work husband? I'm just saying. So you want to make sure that your emotions are not displaced, and you don't have displaced loyalty as it relates to the connection. And if you're not connecting with your husband, you want to make sure that you're not finding ways to connect with other people in a way that you should be connecting with your husband. Because that's dangerous. That's dangerous. You don't want to find yourself in that space. And now you found other things and people to replace what he's supposed to be giving you. Yes, come on, women. Any engaged? Yes, this is good stuff. I wish I was listening to this. You know what I mean? So to get ready. So we want to make sure that we are staying connected. Make sure we're staying connected. So that's all I have for y'all. That's all I have for y'all today. Does anybody have any questions or anything that you want to ask? I'm hoping and praying next Saturday my husband is going to be able to go live with me. So that'll be a treat, you all. If he's in town, he's committed to going live with me unless something else crazy happens. You're welcome, Lorna. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And still share this with someone. Even if, we're wrapping up, somebody may need to be on here. Somebody may need to hear this message. Share, please. Make sure you're following me so that you can be notified. Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Crystal. I have so many, Liz. I have so many, honey. You have to tell me something in particular. I mean, you need to be on my 5 a.m. Scopes. When I talk about the power of praying, a praying wife on 5 a.m. Wednesdays. That's all I talk about, and we pray on Wednesdays. But I have so many different prayers. You have to be very strategic and intentional with praying for your husband and in certain areas for him. And prayer, and also when you pray, you got to obey. So whatever else next that God is asking you to do, you have to obey. You have to obey. You know, a spiritual connection and a physical and emotional connection is something that you desire. Oh, so you want to pray for a husband? Okay, I wouldn't say pray for a husband, for God to send you a husband, so to speak, but definitely pray. Oh, hey, this Shava. Pray that God, you want the desires of God for your life, and God said He'll give you the desires of your heart, and you want that. I believe that that's something that He will give to you. So even in that time, ask God for preparation to help prepare you for that. Ask God to even prepare your husband even now, because he's out there, right? So you want to make sure that he's ready when he comes to you, that God is preparing him mentally, emotionally, healing him from any past hurts and past pain that he may have dealt with in previous relationships. Asking God to renew and heal his mind so that he'll be spiritually minded and spiritually grounded when he comes to you. Asking God to order his steps every single day so that when he gets in the marriage, he can make wise decisions as it relates to his family. Asking God for him to be a man of standards, a man of purpose, a man of integrity, a man after God's own heart, a man that knows how to pray for his family. Hey, these are my prayers. I don't know what your desires are, but you're praying to God for him, asking God for your desires for his life. As a matter of fact, on next year, 2017, I have a treat. I have something that I'm going to be launching. And in that, it's a marriage toolbox. That's what it's called. And in that is different different tools for your marriage, different tools for your marriage. And even if you're single, I encourage single women to get it, because it'll show you different things that you can be doing, from affirmations to prayers to whatever, things that you can be doing for your marriage and praying for your husband in that regard, praying for his mind, praying for his emotions, praying for his will, praying for his strength, praying for his finances, all of that. You want to be praying for all of that. So if you're praying for a husband per se, those are the areas. And that's not a prayer that you pray every day. You pray that and you just thank God and you keep it moving. Don't get so focused, Liz, on the husband and God sending the man. Don't get so focused on that. You focus on your relationship with God and you impacting the kingdom of God. Yeah, you pray for the husband. You are set that prayer down. You're thanking God for that. Thank you, God. And every day you thank you, God. Thank you, God. And even in your preparation time, how you keeping your house, how you keeping yourself, and self-care and things of that nature, being responsible, paying off your debt, being in a position where you can be a help meet. The singles miss all of that. They just want the husband, but you can't even get up and clean your house. You can't even cook dinner. You don't even keep your grocery stock. You don't even have tissue in your bathroom. You know what I'm saying? You don't even know when to pray and fast when you're going through something. So you definitely won't be able to pray and fast when you and your husband are going through areas. So these are things that you need to be doing, even with the spiritual, emotional, and physical. I say staying connected, but these are things that you can implement in your own life as far as being spiritually grounded and rooted in the things of God, having a strong and effective prayer life, having a strong and effective fasting life, serving in ministry now. Not waiting till the husband come. Get busy and serve in ministry. Walking in your purpose, asking God to show you your purpose if you have not already. Asking God to show you your purpose so that you can walk in that purpose, so you can begin to impact lives. Physical, asking God to help you to physically upkeep yourself. Making sure that your hair is fixed, making sure that you're well groomed, making sure that you're taking advantage of self-care, getting your manicures, pedicures, whatever it is that you like to do to get to relax and to be stress free and things of that nature. Exercising, eating right, having sound and solid relationships. I can go on and on, but you see where I'm coming from, Liz? So that's what you're praying for more so, and asking God to, hey, Lucretia, heal you from emotional pain and emotional hurt and baggage from previous relationships, so those things will not affect you when you go into the marriage, so that you won't have to worry about the exes and all of these mental battles as it relates to what you've done. Asking God to remove and to detox you from every connection that you've had sexually with the men before him. Come on, somebody. So those are the things. Those are the things that you're going to be praying about. Those are the things. Not so much for the husband, because before the husband comes, There are so many other things before you see the finished product of the house. There's so many other things. You need the electrician to be wired through the house. You need the plumbing done. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. The furniture is one of the last things you get inside the house. Ah, Jesus. The furniture, the last thing. The husband is the last thing you get. You got to do all of these things before he comes. Come on, somebody. I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to help you out, because if you don't go through that process, then when you get him, it's going to be a hot mess, as we like to say. It's going to be a hot mess. So I appreciate you all. Let me tell you, if being spiritually or being connected to your husband is one of your goals for 17, I really, really, really encourage you guys. Oh yes, yes, prepare, honey. And you can never be too prepared. It's better to have an opportunity and be prepared than to not be prepared and have an opportunity. That makes sense? So it's better for you to be prepared. It's better for you to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So it's better for you to be prepared and not even be married yet, right? Than to be married and not be prepared, right? Yes. So if this is one of your goals for 17, which it should be, single or married, I want you guys to sign up for our goal setting and achieving workshop. Because this is all about, at the end of the day, these are things that you want to implement in your own life and also in your marriage. Come on. Come on. So our goal setting and achieving workshop is going to be December 29th at 8 p.m. It's going to be a virtual workshop. And Jill and I are going to take you through how to strategically and intentionally set goals, but not only set goals, but to achieve them. Because I don't know about you, but we good at setting goals, but the achieving part is where we want to get to. So go ahead and go to tinyurl.com/achieve 2017. It's in my profile in Periscope, but not on live. So it's tinyurl.com/achieved, ACHIEVED 2017. It's less than $1 a day. You want to sign up for that workshop. You want to be on that, in that training. You want to be in the building, because I don't know about you, but if you have goals that you want to set for your life and you want to definitely achieve them, beginning as early as the first quarter of 2017, you need to be in the building. You need to be in the building. So, hey, you guys, that's my time. I have a full day today. We celebrated my apostle's birthday last night, and I didn't get home till like 1:45. Got to bed like 2 p.m. Got up at 7. Thank you so much, Lorna. You are so awesome. / so like a / not a hyphen. / Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I got up at 7, went to a prayer breakfast, which was awesome. By the way, it was awesome. And then I came over here and I'm doing live now, and I have to meet my husband at 2:45, and we're going to be together for the most part from 2:45 until later this evening. So yes, the other / is the / Lorna. That's okay. Yes. So I'm beat. So tonight I'll be resting. Tomorrow worship service, and then brunch with the kiddos, my goddaughter and my son, because my husband will be going out of town for business. And yeah, I'm excited, but I want to make sure I get rest and I can take care of myself while he's away. Don't have to cater to anybody. You guys know what that feels like. So anyway, I love you all so much. I appreciate you for coming on, for sharing, for showing the love, showing the hearts. I pray that something I said today, that you'll be able to apply it to your life and relationships immediately. Not having to wait, but that when you get off this live and the scope on today, that you're going to self-reflect on where you are, and then assess where you need to be, and then begin to make those changes in your own life so that you can definitely live the life that God has designed for you to live, which is a successful life, not just in the tangible, but also in the intangible. So you're welcome. I love you so much, Lorna. Thank you. I appreciate you. Love you all, and you have a beautiful and blessed Saturday. Till next time. Bye. See ya.